Hello and welcome to the Regista Football Podcast, episode 6. My name is Jack, one of your co-hosts. I'm here with my friend Ben. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fantastic, Jack. Really enjoyed our little kickabout earlier today and enjoying our beer right now.
Yeah, man. Where are we located today? We are in Original 40 in North Park in San Diego. Normal brewery, kind of make all the styles of beer that you would expect. It's actually the first time we've recorded here, so another place to kind of tick off in terms of the location lists. We have a jam-packed episode for everyone today. We're going to be talking through Xabi Alonso's exit from Real Madrid, his sudden exit from Real Madrid, I might put that. Some big, high-profile Premier League signings have been made. Conor Gallagher to Tottenham and Mark Gahey to Manchester City, which was confirmed this morning. We're going to review Liverpool versus Burnley, and we're going to review Forest versus Arsenal. And then we're also going to look ahead to Champions League action later this week. Marseille versus Liverpool and Inter Milan versus Arsenal. I guess we can get straight into it, really. Xabi Alonso, Ben. So when you first heard that, what did you think? And did you see it coming?
Yeah, I'll say I wasn't super surprised. I felt like if he wasn't going to make it through this this period, like that he wasn't going to make it further.
I agree.
I think there was a lot of apprehension to his appointment initially from certain people who in the football world. I think a lot of people were very excited for it. I think that a part of that is because though Xabi Alonso's successful in Germany with Bayern Leverkusen, I think Real Madrid is such a big club and there's so many personalities that he hasn't had to manage that yet.
Yes,
I
agree.
So that I think was probably what impacted the actual his actual performance there. He just wasn't quite used to that yet.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think some of it also comes down to like trying to implement a style of football that, quite frankly, I mean, I'm sorry if any Madrid fans hear this and you think I'm wrong, but like the way the players acted towards him after that Super Copa final was just, you don't want to see that. Like, especially for someone who admires Xabi Alonso as both a footballer and a football manager, it's not the best sight to see when he's trying to get his players to kind of set a guard of honor for Barcelona. As I think that's a respectful thing to do because they've just beaten you in a football match. Actively disagreeing to do it and refusing to do it. I think fans might like that, but it's not really the way to go about things, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, I'm just going to be really honest here, Jack. I don't think Real Madrid fans are going to be listening to this podcast. I think they're going to be doing something else. Like,
hey, Real Madrid fans, don't go too soon, please.
Yeah,
we need you guys. But at least from my perspective, like the cracks were definitely starting to appear earlier in the season. Kind of lack of game plan execution. When that consistently kept happening, and they were dropping points in specific places. Although let's remember, as of recording, they're not doing too badly in the league. So the fact that he was fired, I can't look at it and think of it as performance. And if it is, I think that's pretty harsh. Like, they were still doing okay in the Champions League. They were doing well in the La Liga. Yeah, they were second to Barcelona, but they were still doing all right.
Yeah, I think honestly it was more of a personality mesh than anything else. And I'm sure that there were cracks that we didn't actually see on that front. And I imagine that's actually what impacted the final decision. And yes, I think it probably wasn't necessarily mutual.
Yeah.
I think Xabi is the kind of coach and person who would want to stay longer and try to work through it. But I think because there were issues with the dressing room, possibly, they just want to nip it in the bud and move on.
Did you see there were suggestions that were basically saying that Vinicius Jr. was refusing to sign a contract if he was still manager?
Yep, I saw that.
That's not a good position to be in from Xabi Alonso's perspective. But like, let's be honest here. I don't think his stock has been damaged as a manager.
No.
I think he'll move on to another relatively big job after this one. I'm not sure where he's going to go. I would kind of like it to be Liverpool, to be honest with you.
Would you, Jack?
I would, yeah, I would. I won't get too much into that, but I think he is a Liverpool man.
Yeah.
And I like Liverpool men, Ben.
Well, I mean, what's next for Real Madrid then if they don't have Xabi Alonso?
They Did you see whether Arbeloa was an interim appointment or not?
I didn't see if it was interim or permanent.
Yes,
I
strange.
imagine every appointment nowadays is interim until you prove yourself.
Yeah, it's kind of how it is. Although, to be fair, like, even if you're not an interim manager, you quickly could be.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you could also be a permanent manager who becomes interim.
Yeah.
Ange is just one example.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Arbeloa replaces him. Actually, another fun fact, also another Liverpool player, played at right back under with Xabi, but for Rafa Benitez. Interesting to see what happens there, but overall, wasn't too surprised about the exit, but it's something I don't really want to see. Like a guy I admire and a football player and coach that I admire getting treated like that, and hope he moves on and finds something else.
I'm sure he will.
Let's move on to the signings then. So some Premier League signings that have happened recently. We'll start with the more interesting one to me, which is Mark Gahey. Man City paid 20 to 30 million. This is inclusive of add-ons, by the way. And the only reason it is that affordable was because he was approaching the end of his contract. His contract ended in the summer. I think, from my perspective, like, what do you feel about the signing, Ben? And do you think it's something that gives them a better chance in competing for the league with Arsenal?
In all honesty, it kind of frustrates me that that Man City don't play the same football that the rest of the league plays. If either, when I say we, either Liverpool or Arsenal lose two of your best defenders, are we in the positions that we can go in and buy the next best defender in the league? Are we?
No, we're not.
So we don't play the same football, and that kind of frustrates me sometimes. We don't play football the same way, I should say. And so I can understand, like, if that is what you need to do to keep your team in the league, but sometimes it just I don't know. It seems unfair with the kind of spending that happens.
So, to play devil's advocate, do you not feel this is something that they had to do?
No, I think that's something that you had to do, but there are plenty of other defenders that they really could pick up.
Yeah,
they could just say, like, you know what, we want the best progressive midfielder right now, the person who plays with the ball with their feet really well and hits the ball really well, and they go pick them up. And a week later, they're like, you know what? Oh no, our defenders are injured, so we kind of just need the best defender. So it's not the Gahey. It is kind of everything lining up, and kind of leading this to the starting 11 that Man City has bought in the last year.
500 million spent in the last calendar year.
And so I think that's the frustrating part. And yes, Arsenal has spent a ton of money, and I'm not going to put that aside. But is Arsenal going to offer? How much are they spent? How much is Gahey asking for on a weekly basis?
300K a week.
Is Arsenal in a position to spend that? No, we're not.
So that's an important point, actually. So I did some kind of cross-referencing to see what other, like, Premier League stars and overseas stars are making at centre-back. And listen to this. So the highest earner at centre-back in the world, outside of Saudi, because it's clown money, like, the money doesn't exist, Virgil van Dijk earns 350, which is the highest paid centre-back in the world. Following on that, so we're talking about Arsenal guys. Saliba earns 250 when Gabriel earns 150. Ruben Diaz earns 250. Stones earns 250. Antonio Rudiger of Madrid earns 245, and Marquinhos of PSG earns 220. So that is putting him as one of the highest centre-back earners in Europe.
Yeah.
And I think there's a few reasons for that, and I'm not sure if you disagree with me here, but big reason, Gahey has to leave Palace early, and will forego that signing on fee, so he won't get that. So I think for him to warrant himself leaving, at least from the player perspective, I would demand more money, because it's like, I'll have my choice of options in the summer, bunch of options, get a big sign-on fee, probably not as much wage, but ultimately somehow that has to be made up, and it looks like City have managed to do that with this weekly salary.
Yeah, it reminds me of FIFA or career mode. When you're playing as a manager and you have to play that line of, like, oh wait, you have to leave early, so I'm going to give you a bigger weekly check. And so
looks like that's what they've done.
Yeah. I do think that this signing is going to impact the league overall. It should help City.
I mean, he's quality, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a good footballer. I think City's going to be looking pretty solid back there with him. I don't think he's going to take a lot of time to get. It's not going to take him a lot of time to actually get used to the way City play football. I think he'll be just totally fine.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how this impacts the overall league. Yes, right now there's people who are outgoing, and I hope he gets the minutes. I hope he gets to actually play football.
Yeah. So I mean that's an important point of that, really. I mean, Stones is probably on his way out. Getting older. Ake is on his way out. Getting older. Guardiola's obviously basically been ended for the season. He might come back, but I don't know how easily it's going to be to integrate back into the squad before the end of the season. And then Diaz is currently injured, but has not the best recent injury when it comes to not the best recent history when it comes to injuries, I meant to say. I think overall it's pretty important to mention that. So like they're not just signing a guy to help them in the short term. I think they will see benefit over the long term from Mark Gahey.
Yeah. Jack, we've talked about Gahey earlier this season. How do you feel about this signing?
I don't know if this is bollocks or not, but I saw something earlier today when he had an interview. He was asked about the Liverpool move, and he said Liverpool was my first choice, but that's in the past. I think he's looked at it as an opportunity to earn a good amount of money for 5.5 years, and I don't discount him. He owes nothing to Liverpool. Liverpool failed to sign him on that last day, and ultimately, I can understand. I mean, from a Liverpool perspective, it kind of annoys me because from the start of this season, we were basically recruiting from a position of strength. We just won the Premier League, on top of the world, right? Now City suddenly look like a more attractive project to people. I would argue, though, I think the future of the manager is kind of unknown, actually for both clubs, to tell you the truth. So I could see why City would decide to go for Gahey and pursue that. And from Gahey's perspective, there's really no hard feelings from where I look at it. I think I can't really blame him for kind of shutting up shop now, especially if you've seen how Glasner's been acting recently.
Yeah.
I think not the worst idea from Gahey's perspective, and I do think this is going to have a decent impact on how good City are for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Let's go to the other one then, the less interesting one, and the one that I think is stupid, to tell you the truth. Conor Gallagher to Spurs. Firstly, I didn't see this one coming, but I should have because of how they recruit players. This profile is just not something that they need from my perspective. And let's break it down. So they've got Bentancur, who's a very similar player. They've got Sarr, who's a very similar player. From like my perspective, I don't think they needed a midfielder like that, Ben.
Yeah, I don't see where he sits in this team necessarily. I feel like it was. I didn't see this signing coming either.
No.
I was surprised that he actually would want to go to Spurs, especially with the way they are right now.
Me too, especially from
Atleti. And I feel like I haven't followed Atleti as much, but I felt like he was actually doing pretty well at Atleti for a little while, if I'm not mistaken.
No, definitely.
I mean, nothing to speak about because he didn't really, stand out that much. What I do see, I think a part of this move is just the injuries that they have right now.
Yeah.
The longer term injuries.
Yeah.
You do have Kudus out for a few months. Richarlison could be a season-ending injury.
Yeah.
And Richarlison's just a glass person. Solanke is a glass person.
Yeah.
Solanke is just coming back in. Cole Mwani is just working out as well. Simmons isn't necessarily working out as well either right now.
Yeah.
So I can see when you want to bring in someone with more experience, like they brought in Brendan Johnson. They brought in some Premier League experience. I think it looks like they want to find more people with more Premier League experience overall right now.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable assumption to make. Another argument for this is I think this is, although it's a similar profile to what they currently have, I think he's better than a lot of the guys they currently have. I think there are also rumours to suggest that he wanted to come back to England, so this is probably the easiest path for him to take. But I think from my perspective, Spurs need a progressive midfielder. They're desperate for a progressive midfielder. All of the underlying metrics suggest that's what they're
Maybe
really...
a deep lying progressive midfielder.
Yeah, like
think?
a Regista,
A Regista,
if you would.
maybe.
And Conor Gallagher certainly is not that. But it's an interesting signing for Tottenham. Like I said, I don't quite agree whether it being the right one or not, but I think in terms of how he'd fit into Spurs, I think he just ends up playing in one of those roles in the pivot. I think him and Palhinha as a partnership could work quite well, but at the same time, there's just still like a big lack of ball progression in that central midfield area.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see where he also plays. I didn't actually get to watch him play this weekend because I don't typically like to watch Tottenham play football, even when they're losing to West Ham. But I feel like I remember him playing a bit more on the left side of the pitch. I wonder did you see him play? Is that where he played?
I'd say from what I saw from the cameo he had for Spurs, I think he came on as a sub. He played predominantly right side.
Okay.
And I could kind of see that because of how their right side is balanced. But overall, I think there's no way I think it's a bad signing for Tottenham. It's not bad. It's just not really what they need in terms of profile now. So go see how he does in the league. That's Conor Gallagher goes to Spurs. There's really not too much to talk about on that one. Next thing we're going to cover are the Premier League reviews, rather. Liverpool, Burnley, Arsenal, Forest. We're going to start with Liverpool versus Burnley at Anfield. Crazy statistic for you here. For the first time since 80-81, Liverpool failed to beat all the promoted teams at home. Liverpool are unbeaten against the promoted teams at home, at least from what I remember, but they've all been draws. Absolute dross, man.
When you told me that stat, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's quite unbelievable.
And it's funny because, like, did you manage to see any of that game?
I did. I watched most of the second half. I did catch some of the highlights from the first half just because I wanted to see what was going on. I felt like it was generally a surprising game for who Liverpool, in my mind, are.
Yeah.
And I say that because they're playing a different kind of football that I'm used to watching.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't feel like Liverpool football.
I think like that's a good place to start, really, from my perspective. What I would argue, actually, there's two parts to this. Firstly, I think Burnley are the worst team in the Premier League.
Agreed.
So
yeah.
I'll say that outright. I think Burnley are the worst team. But not only to not beat that team at the Premier League, but at times in possession to look fearful against that team is what kind of rubs me the wrong way. I would say this is probably our top 3 performance at home the whole of the season. We generated a lot of XG, and there are people that are going to say to me, XG doesn't mean anything, we still drew the game. Arne coached a game that was winnable for LFC, and they didn't do it. So Bosley misses a pen in the first half, blasts it against the bar, hits it as hard as he possibly could, and then Cody Gakpo gets something cleared off the line. Florian Wirtz scores a goal, which is just...
It's a beautiful goal.
And honestly, the finish might not even be the best part of that goal. The best part of that goal might be what Ekitike does in the build-up to that goal, man. Ball gets played kind of long. Ekitike takes it down. Really good control. Gets in like a duel with one of the defenders and smokes him. Running down the left side of the box, gets past another defender and gets to the byline. Cuts it back, ball ends up for Wirtz. And Wirtz, his body shape was looking like he was going to curl that into the opposite corner, but he puts it in the best possible position in the near post and puts Liverpool 1-0 ahead. And I think we've seen, especially over the last few weeks, Florian Wirtz arrive then.
Yeah, I think he's been doing really well. I really liked his finish. I remember when I first watched the goal, his body shape looked like it was very open, and then he just puts it up real quick, put it up top. I will say, apart from FTK, I really did enjoy Curtis Jones's just kind of like the time that he took to find the right pass.
Yes.
Right. He was on the touchline. He put his head up. He saw Wirtz in space, and he made the right pass. And I thought that showed a lot of calm in that position, when most anyone might be like, let me just put it across again, right?
Yeah.
Let me just get a deflection in. But he saw Wirtz ready for it, and he put it right in his feet. I thought it was a good pass.
I think the thing that frustrates me really, so like for what it's worth, I think that was one of Szoboszlai's and Jones' worst performances of the season. And the reason I say that is because of how much ball domination we actually have in that game. I think it's just all a bit too pitter-patter, you know? Like, there are several times in that game where I see Szoboszlai, or at the very least, Liverpool's midfield have a chance to break. And Szoboszlai is looking around and kind of doing that, you know, that gesture when people are like, calm down, slow it down. No, Dom, don't do that, please. At Anfield, I want you to play that ball because we shouldn't be too scared if Burnley comes back at us. And if we're scared of Burnley coming back at us, that's a bigger part of the problem, at least from my perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, we go in 1-0 at halftime. Should definitely be 2-0, by the way. I think the biggest takeaways from that first half is, again, I think Wirtz has really come out and he started to play really, really well. Burnley, for pretty much the whole of the half, I mean, I think we finished that first half of 74% ball possession, so we're kind of dominating the ball, predominantly in their area, so they're playing very compact and very deep. One thing that really bothered me, really, in that whole of that first half, something he hasn't managed to figure out, even from last season, Liverpool's press is a fucking joke. The amount of times I see, like, what we define as, like, not particularly great ball-playing centre-backs destroy our press and just ping it into the centre of midfield. And the thing that frustrates me about that isn't so much that they've managed to bypass the press, it's what do we do from that? Like, what's your reaction to this action happening in the game? And honestly, Ben, they just look like fucking cowards. I've never seen a Liverpool team that lets ball carriers have the ball for so long, moving into dangerous places. It's so frustrating to watch. Because you see the world falling as he's getting closer and closer to goal. I've seen it this season. It's really frustrating. Another thing, we were predominantly attacking down the left in this game, so you didn't see a lot of Frimpong. And when Frimpong isn't on the ball, like high up, you can see how desperate Liverpool are for a 1v1 specialist.
Yeah.
He's really the only guy that can go inside or outside and beat a man. We don't have a lot of guys like that. Wirtz can do it, but he doesn't have that turn of pace like Frimpong does. So it works very differently. So that's the first half. Second half, I'd say honestly more of the same for the most part. We start to turn the screw. I think we start the first half quite well. Lots of pressure, kind of keeping them very high up the pitch. At that point, I mean, I think coming from the first half, we'd only conceded 0.09 XG, so like they weren't creating a lot of shots. We were in a very comfortable situation, like at least from my perspective, like as a fan, if you're watching that game, you're looking at it like this is we're on the road for a comfortable win for Liverpool. And we weren't, Ben, because when did we score? When did they score? Sorry, I think it was like 65 minutes or something.
Yeah, about that.
They get a sustained period of possession, and I'll tell you, 11 pass sequence for that goal. Burnley at Anfield has a chance to pass it 11 times in our area. There is no one anywhere near any of their players for the whole of that sequence. And I can tell you, I was watching it, I'm like, a goal is coming here because of how passive Liverpool were. And ultimately, what ends up happening, Gravenberch is not a defensive midfielder. He's not. He's just been playing there and it's been quite good there. Loses a man. Guy peels off the back of Gravenberch. Through ball is played in. Konate goes for a cigar. Completely ignores the guy coming through. I have to say, outrageous finish.
Yeah.
Brilliant finish.
Yeah.
But even for how a highly irate Alisson Becker, he should do better there. Guy finishes it 0.04 XG. That, by the way, that is the trend of our season.
Yeah.
Loads of goals conceded that are like under 0.1 XG consistently. And it really, like I said, it comes from being too passive, letting them inside our shape and not really closing them down. they get their lead, and we then give them something to defend. And something that kind of is taken away, and something like I want you to touch on, Ben, because I think you guys are in a very unique situation. Liverpool have no bench, Ben. What we end up bringing on, McAllister comes on from Gravenberch, which is a decent sub. But then Rio Ngumo, 17, comes on for Gakpo. And we expect that guy to have a, you're chasing a goal at that point. Not so much chasing a goal, but you need to score again. And you're bringing on 17-year-old Rio Ngumo to save you. Imagine. That's like Wanyeri having to come on to score goals for Arsenal.
Which he has to do last year.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. The subs do not look like they are there to win the game. They look like they're there for game management and possibly a hope.
The problem is that I feel bad for the manager. This isn't on the manager. He's just got no options from the bench.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you lose Isak, which is like the attacking depth you have, quite frankly, you have no one to bring on offensively. Aside from Gakpo, who could have been a sub if Isak was around somewhere. But, like, man, it's threadbare. Like, they lose 3 attackers in the summer. They replace them with 2. But I'd argue that the attacking profiles that we have now to come on to help us save games, Chiesa comes on in the 86th minute. Yeah, he's got some goals, Ben, but he's shite. He's shite. All he does is run about. I don't mind that, but I don't want that guy coming on for Liverpool to. If we desperately need a goal, he is not the answer.
I feel like Chiesa is the guy who comes in to get the goal that kills the game, possibly. Yeah, he'll be able to run on the ball, but yeah, he's not the guy who comes on. What do you think changes when Mo comes back? Do you think it gets a little better offensively because at least you have that additional attacking?
I think it helps a lot.
Yeah.
But again, we don't know how that's going to play out now, do we? Because it didn't go particularly well before he left. The Brighton game was like a bit of a nicer send-off, which kind of changed the rhetoric around the whole situation. But overall, like...
You think that there's still some kind of...
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So I don't know how he comes back in. Apparently, he could be available for the Champions League game this midweek. We'll see how that goes. But I think overall, Salah is going to help the squad. Like, player that quality is obviously going to be better than not having him.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the football changes, how the shape changes, and what they're trying to do changes, if it changes.
Absolutely.
I don't know if Mo's going to be the guy this season to help them change that, rather than be the depth. Mainly because last season it was Mo's team.
Yeah.
And this season is very much Arne's team. And I'm not saying that to bring any division. It's just the kind of football that Arne wants to play. He understood where the team was and how strong they were. He understood their strengths. But I think he does want to change the makeup of the team and how they play football. And he's starting that now. So, I'm very interested to see how Mo does when he comes back. I think he'll definitely be able to come in and help a little bit more, especially with the attacking depth. Whether it's starting or at least giving a bit more depth earlier on.
Yeah.
If Mo was available and he didn't start this game, which I don't think he may. Maybe if we didn't have AFCON, I don't think Mo would have started this game.
Has to start, man. I'm so sick of the idea of Mo Salah not being a starter for Liverpool. Like, what the fuck are we playing at?
I'm only saying that because I think he would start the Champions League game midweek.
Yeah.
And he would come on at the 60th. That's what I'm trying to say.
It is Burnley, by the way.
It is Burnley, exactly. Like, I don't think Mo, like, maybe he would have come on the second half. But I don't think he would have started. They've been like, let's save Mo's legs for Champions League. Let's not have him play against Burnley.
Fair. If that was going to be a game where he got rest, you could see that scenario, right?
That's the only reason I think he wouldn't have started. But
I think overall, like, just having him here gives us an attacking sub off the bench, and we really need that at the moment. You can see it really, like when we're chasing games or when we're in a position where we need to make offensive subs to get us a goal. There's just not much there, and honestly, like the putting that game aside, we'll move on to something slightly different. I understand why Liverpool have been playing this way. Like the idea of if we play expensive football, previously we were getting smoked, man. We were getting hammered. Like when we were trying to play the type of football that the manager wants to play, we were getting countered and destroyed consistently. Lots of long balls because there was a bunch of space in behind. Players can deal with it. So now we, again, use this sterile domination tactic where we control the ball. Guardiola philosophy, if we have the ball, you can't hurt me. That's how we've been playing. What I don't want to see, though, is yes, you've managed to find a solution to stop the rot, but what are we going to do at home against these teams that play low blocks? Because it's not going to work. And I hate to say it, it reminds me of a certain other team, man. Like
you can say it. I wasn't gonna call it out, but like it reminds me of Arsenal. Like it reminds me of that kind of football, and that's why it surprises me because when I'm watching the game, I'm like, what happened to the white shorts?
That's not who Liverpool are as a club, dude. Like at home, I want to see Liverpool batter teams, and frankly, we did. Like 17 shots in the second half. 15 shots in the first half. That's like Jurgen level of output in terms of what we're doing in and around the area, outside of the box. But like when you're missing like overall like 3-4 big chances a game, you're not gonna get results, and ultimately we end up drawing 1-1. I want to see the football change. If the football doesn't get better, I can't see the manager being employed in the summer.
Yeah, I think he has a few months here to really either make his football work or find a way to win more.
Yes.
Not winning at home against any of the promoted sides is
a joke.
Yeah, it really is a joke.
1-1. We move on. Unbeaten streak continues. Let's go.
How many is that total right now?
13, I think.
Okay.
Which, like, come on, man. We were getting beaten, destroyed by PSV.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not complaining at the approach he's had to take ultimately to keep his fucking job. Because if we kept getting battered that way, he'd have lost his job. We're fantastic. I agree with that on it. Let's at home do something about the way we're playing. We cannot be as conservative as we are at home. Talking about conservative, let's cover Forest Arsenal now. I don't think I've seen a team as deep as Nottingham Forest in this game, Ben. I watched so I didn't watch the first half, albeit, but I watched the second half, and Forest were so defensive. Not really throughout the game, but the second half. Talk us through it. I'll interject when I feel it's necessary, but feel free to go off.
Of course. Forest, Arsenal. Fun fact, Arsenal have not conceded a goal to Forest in the last 4 meetings. Wow. Also, one of the games that Arsenal drew last season, and this isn't that much of a fun fact because Arsenal had 7 draws last season, but one of the 0-0 draws they had last season.
Wait, was it only 7 draws?
Yes.
No way.
Was it 7?
I think it was like 12, Ben. Honestly.
I'm blocking that out. Maybe. But yeah, they drew against Forest at home last season as well.
Okay.
So it was one of those games that I was really hoping we'd do something, especially coming off of. I woke up at 5:15, panicking, thinking that United was 4 goals down. Turn on the TV or the laptop to turn on the game. It's 0-0. I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't that bad. I stay in bed because I'm like, I'm not going to get up for this, whatever. And then eventually the goals go in and City lose. I'm like, it's our time.
You're looking at it as like an opportunity. Like,
absolutely.
Let's now put the foot up on throat.
This is the third week in a row that we have an opportunity to pull away. Last week it was against Liverpool. We drew that game. 0-0. And then when City drew and they dropped points, this time City lost and we had a chance to go 9 points ahead. And Arsenal didn't take the opportunity, which was kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
I was very hopeful going into this game, but then I saw the team selection. I saw the lineup. It was kind of surprising. I had Noni for Saka. And all I could think of was we're rotating for cup matches. We have Inter Milan coming up.
Yes.
Saka did start midweek against Chelsea, so I guess we have that. And then Gyökeres started again instead of someone who's been doing okay, Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah.
I feel like Gabriel Jesus has proved himself in the minutes that he's had to at least play the first half.
How far is Havertz from returning?
Havertz has come on as a substitute. But he
Really?
hasn't. Yeah, but he hasn't started yet.
Weird.
I think it's just minute management, right?
Yeah.
A large part of that is Havertz went down injured at the end of the last season. He played his first game of the season against United and went down injured again. So I think they just want to make sure that he comes back on slowly.
I never thought I'd say this, but like in terms of profile, he's your best option, man. Like,
Absolutely.
In terms of someone, so like something that I will give Havertz credit for, I think he's technically quite good.
Yeah.
He's good at the ball of his feet. He can move the ball into like somewhat tight spaces. Kind of not as well as Gabriel Jesus, but at least has some of that. But he also has like the hold-up play that you want from Gyökeres. So kind of like a marriage of the two.
Yeah. He has the technical skills and also has a great hold-up play. He's not the fastest, like when he's starting the sprint, but he gets up to speed.
He's not slow.
Yeah, he's not slow. But that lineup was a little confusing for me, but we'll see what happens. In the first half, all I could really think of was Forest had a really high line.
Yeah.
They compacted that midfield so well.
Yeah.
And then as soon as that they went back in the final third, they compacted horizontally instead of vertically. And they got 7-8 people inside the box at the same time. And so Arsenal was forced to go to the touchline and put balls through when they got to the final third. And then when they were in that mid block, Arsenal had to put balls, like these diagonal balls over.
Yeah.
Which we have good defenders, but I don't want to see Gabriel trying to hit that ball. He's good. I don't want to see Gabriel try to hit that ball. He's not going to be that accurate.
You're right, yeah.
And that's a skill I think he's improving on. Saliba, I think, does a little better. Timber's probably our best player who does that. He actually he found Saka a couple times. And then on top of that, like Arsenal was just not trying to win the ball in the midfield or control the midfield. Zubimendi was on man coverage, and he was out of the game. I couldn't see him in the entire first half. And the thing that I kept thinking about in the first half was like, where's our tempo?
Yeah.
Where's this kind of tempo that we saw against Bournemouth, right?
Yes.
Where's a tempo that just like is like on fire? And Bournemouth is a high press team.
Yeah.
Force isn't as high press, but we were able to break down Bournemouth quickly in our own half and then progress the ball, which we didn't do at all against Forest.
Yeah, I thought like at times, but it's the same old thing, Ben. It's like a team that is going to defend deep, when they show onus and attack and like move their shape up the pitch.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a team playing through them too slowly because we know what the story is here. Like we know what they're going to attempt to do. It's like try and get the ball quickly. We don't get the ball quickly. Fall back in a low block. And then it's the same cycle over and over again. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because like in certain situations, I think from my perspective, the starters that you had in that game are definitely more suited to that quick style of football, like playing balls vertically, quickly, versus what I would define as the team that would be more suited to playing in tight spaces, which would be Trossard, Saka, Gabriel Jesus, even. But you play the kind of like the space in behind forwards and don't choose to utilize that really at all. It's confusing to me.
No, it was super frustrating because when I saw that lineup, I was like, oh, okay, we're going to play some fast football down the wings. Like, that's what makes sense right now for this team. But why didn't they do it?
No, I don't know.
It was I had that question over and over. I do want to touch on a couple of specific players. Gyökeres was playing a lot deeper in Arsenal half just to recover the ball, I was noticing.
When you say recover, what do you mean in that aspect?
Like, I don't think Gyökeres is supposed to be a false nine.
No.
He's not. And so there were moments when he was playing that Odegaard DM position. I'm like, okay, the only person I don't want to play that Odegaard DM position is you. Why are you this far back?
It's you, yeah.
There was a moment in the first, and that's fine. Like, he wants to be able to like do the things that Gabriel Jesus does, but he doesn't have the body composition. No. He does not have the fast feet or the touch to do that. And so why are we asking him to do that? He doesn't, like, he's supposed to be the guy who gets into space, but he doesn't get into space.
No.
And I see it over and over and over again, where there was a stat that dropped last week, right? And I think you and I talked about this, where it said Gyökeres has had the least space between him and the ball or between him and the defender when he receives the ball. And when you think about it, you're like, oh, he's in coverage. I'm like, no, that's because he doesn't know how to get away from his man.
Yeah.
It's all I think about.
Part of that too. It's funny because like, when he moved here, at least for me, he was looked at as like this player that basically a marauder, right? Like finds space on the left channel and destroys people.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to that guy?
Yeah.
To me, he looks so slow.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe he can pick up speed in like long range sprints, but mate, he just looks sluggish and slow.
Yeah.
I think you can really see the difference between the Premier League and Liga Portugal. Honestly, you can. I think for him to come good though, and I don't like solely put it on his feet. Like use him how he needs to be used. I'm not sure what you I'm not sure what Arteta and like Berta thought they were getting from like a profile perspective for him, but like you play him to his strengths. Like use the things he is good at.
One of the things that frustrated me was that when Arteta was asked about why we signed Gyökeres because he doesn't match our style of football, he specifically said we played a style of football where we saw that we needed to do something different.
Fair.
Right?
Yeah.
And so he called it out, but why is it not happening?
Yeah.
Is my question.
Yeah.
Like, if you know what you're supposed to be doing and it's supposed to change,
I
why
completely
is it
agree.
happening? Some other quick things. Odegaard, I didn't mention him a little earlier, but he wasn't playing in those half spaces. He was playing a bit more centrally. We're playing a 4-4-2 with Odegaard up top, general in that first half. He was playing a higher line, more central. The good thing is he wasn't running back in that DM role in the first half. He did in the second half. But I felt like his touch was just off this game. He just every single time he received the ball, it was just a heavy touch. Wasn't as silky and smooth as I'm used to watching.
Which is like not what you attribute as part of his game.
Exactly.
You know? Like when I think of Odegaard, I think of in like really, really good close control, ability to kind of take a touch and move around the ball to try and orient himself to play passes forward. The big thing for me, at least from my perspective, the way I think Odegaard should be used in this system is, mate, you're the guy that is going to play the pass before the pass pretty much every time. You don't have a bunch of profiles that do that. Yeah. So this is solely your job. When he isn't working, you can see situations where Arsenal struggle to create a bunch like that, like getting players to the byline and cutting it back.
Yeah.
But like ultimately, when he has bad games, Arsenal typically don't win. And that's just the way it is. Or like, don't play as well as you wanted to. I think it's important to mention though, the XG you guys had in this game was pretty fucking high.
It was very high. In the second half. It got high in the second half.
From my perspective, that was because of crosses. Like not a lot of like good playing around the box to create openings, predominantly crosses to the back post. And typically you'll get that because you have inverted wingers. Yeah. So that's going to happen a lot.
Arsenal had 0 shots on target. They had 8 shots in the first half, 0 on target, XG of 0.8.
It's terrible.
Which is just kind of really, really poor. There was one opportunity that really needed to go in, 41st minute. It was from an Aina throw-in. Martinelli just kind of boots it out. I don't know if he was meaning to.
I saw that.
Did you see this? Yeah. He boots it out. Murillo misses it on the bounce, and then it's clear for Gyökeres.
And he just gets caught up.
I understand the ball is going to bounce,
I know.
but he gets caught up, and he doesn't get a good second touch on it, and it get into his body, and at that point, Murillo's caught up on it. Those are the moments that he needed to anticipate the ball being free, instead of thinking that Murillo was going to get to the ball.
Like, from my perspective, look, I'm not a fucking professional footballer here, but like, any touch to put that ball in front of you is a good touch.
Yeah.
Just do that.
And he does this touch where he keeps it close to his body to control it, and towards goal side instead of going out, towards Murillo. If you touch it towards the outside, you create more space. You get away from Murillo. Murillo has to run even further, and you can trust in your shot to go across the goal. He just runs straight. He runs straight down the pitch.
He was slightly on the outside of Murillo, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So like slightly in the closer to left channel.
Yeah.
From my perspective, as a striker, you do one of two things. You run forward and hope for second runners, or your first touch needs to be across him.
Yeah.
Like, give him no option but to either take you down or have to fucking hustle to get back. And that first touch, summarizes him as a player for me at the moment, man.
Yeah.
Like it's just it looked calamitous.
Yeah.
Um,
It was off.
So like you guys constantly battered a door down pretty much the whole of the game. There were some crazy situations like in and around the box. For what it's worth, Sells was their man of the match, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Made some great saves.
Yeah.
There was this one save he made, which was like...
Was that the Bukayo Saka?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
My
fingertip
God.
save. Oh. Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. So it was definitely. Let's move on to the second half because actually, when I watched the second half, I was at the Bluefoot. I was actually more frustrated at the second half than it was at the first half. When I rewatched the match in the calmness of my home, not upset. Well, still upset, but with clarity. I realized the second half was better football, and a couple of things. It started with a slower tempo overall, but we had a triple change in the 57th minute.
Yeah.
And the control people came on. Saka, Gabriel Jesus, Marino for Noni, Odin, Gyökeres. And we got control of the midfield. But we also saw an increase in tempo overall, which was good. Just a bit more confidence on the ball.
I think Saka changed that game personally.
Yeah, Saka definitely changed that. We had our first shot on target in the 59th minute, which was from a corner from Saka corner. It's just a weird bounce that Declan doesn't quite hit. He kind of shins the ball.
Yeah.
Sells saves it, but even if Sells didn't save it, Maria was right behind the ball. It wouldn't have gone in. And then right after that, that's the save you talked about, the 65th minute, right?
Crazy save.
Where Declan did that little inverted run, had a great ball to Saka. I would say Saka put it perfectly.
He did. He kind of did. The thing that makes the save so impressive to me wasn't the fact that he got his fingertips to it. He was going the wrong way.
Yeah. He just stretched out for it.
He readjusts and basically like... So imagine this for audio listeners. Like, ball is going directly to your right, and he makes like a pretty big step left.
Yeah.
From that step, he leaps to get his fingertips on it. It's one of the best saves I've seen this season, that save.
And it wasn't even like it was at the edge of the goal. He got his fingertips to it and got it
crazy
out of the goal. Because you can see those fingertips, it can still go through. And the ball had pace.
Yeah.
Not as bad, as much as like Shada's header the other day. But like the ball had decent space, pace on it. And so, it was a really good save. And then there was another opportunity very shortly after where Gabriel Jesus had a touch on a locking ball in. And then we made our next change at the 79th minute, which was Eza for Zubamendi. I just felt that was a little too late.
Yeah.
I honestly was confused about why Marino came in for Odegaard. I would have liked to see Eza come in for Odegaard earlier in this match.
I have a question for you about Eze, actually. What's your take on him so far? Like, how do you... So, let's put it into perspective a bit. I don't think he was ever expected to be like a bona fide starter, or maybe he was. When you guys signed him, like there were people that were telling me he was going to play off the left potentially.
Yeah,
which I could see that.
I think there's two reasons for why he doesn't start. Because when we signed him, I thought he was going to play off the left.
Didn't he cost you $70 million?
Yeah, he was
crazy.
Our most expensive signing this season. And I think there's two reasons for that. One, he doesn't really play that winger position.
No.
And Declan Rice is that left 8 right now.
Yeah,
for us.
he is.
And so he has to push Declan Rice out of position.
That's a good bit of analysis. Because like from my perspective, I think Rice is that left-hand half space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you imagine like Eze picking up the ball, Eze wants to be in that left half space.
Mm-hmm.
If him and Rice play on that same side of the pitch, they're just going to be stepping on each other's toes all the time.
Yeah.
And with Rice's form, Rice has to play.
Yeah.
So like, I understand it completely. It's difficult though, isn't it? Because I don't think he wouldn't work well in that Odegaard position either. From when I've seen him when he's played attacking midfield, like in that Odegaard role, I don't think he's decisive enough on the ball. I think he dawdles on the ball a bit. He doesn't combine as well with Saka.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of Odegaard's biggest parts of his game is how well you guys play on that right hand side, like the interplay with Saka. It's been tough for him.
What I'd like to see him do is when we play that kind of 4-4-2 position with both Odegaard and Gyökeres up top, I'd like to see Eze start that. I think that'd be. I would be interested to see. I would like to see him play up there, and mainly because Odegaard will have more defensive responsibilities. But then I think Eze will occupy that half space, and I think he'll be a good partner with Declan Rice. So that's what I'd like to see. And I'm not saying I'm writing off Gyökeres for that. I think Gyökeres has a different game style.
I agree.
That's the kind of game style he'll play for. So yeah,
that's also the part of having the squad you guys have. Like you have players that are applicable to different situations in games.
Mm-hmm.
You play a Bournemouth, then a Gyökeres makes more sense. There's more space in behind.
Yeah.
Team will naturally push up to press you, versus like you're playing insert low block team in here. He's probably not the best idea for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think utilizing that squad to get the most out of it is probably the best approach in those different situations. And I think, excuse me, but because of that game in midweek, I don't feel the right players played in this game.
Yeah.
And you only really got to see the right players play until later in the game, and that's when you started creating all the chances.
Yeah, I think just to sum this up, actually, one thing, there was a handball call at the 80th minute. A lot of people have talked about this. I'll say this. When I saw it in during the game, I was like, oh, okay, I could maybe see that as a handball. When I saw the replay, I could see how it could be a harsh call if it was a handball. And I only say that because if Elliot Anderson was not behind,
he's kind of pushing him into
the ball, and that knocks your arm. I don't know if Aina would actually put his hand up there. And I can't know that. And so I can say what happened is we got a corner off of it. If he wasn't knocking the ball and he's trying to control it and he doesn't put his hand there, it would have gone out for another corner anyways. And if that was called a penalty, I wouldn't be mad. And also, if that was called a penalty, if Arsenal did that,
you'd be pretty pissed off.
I actually wouldn't. I've been like, all right, fine.
Really?
This I can't tell what's actually happening here. And so I'm very 50-50 on that.
My take is his arm plays the ball.
Yeah.
It could be a pen. But, as Danny said in the group chat, that's not what VAR is for, man. It would be harsh to Forest, but I could see it be given either way, to tell you the truth. It didn't go your way.
Yeah.
But, when you're actively making an action towards the ball with your hand, you're running the risk of that being given. And we've seen, softer pens given for handball, man.
Yeah.
I saw Odegaard play basketball in our box, and that wasn't given as handball.
Yeah.
So
it was a natural hand position, so
if you're trying to handstand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He was actually bowling, so
I'm sure he's good at bowling. At least that way you can always play it forward. So yeah, ends 0-0. How do you feel from an overall Arsenal perspective? So this is the scenario this weekend, right? Villa lose to Everton at home.
That was after our match, though.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So so if they win that game, they go 4 points behind you.
Yeah.
Right. City lose to Carrick's United and they deserve to lose that game.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happens, and I said kind of off the record, it reminds me so much of us last year, where I think at times, when we drew at Fulham, you guys didn't capitalize on it.
Yep.
And actually, I have a crazy statistic. How many draws did you say you got last year?
I thought it was 7. It was 13.
Times that by 2.
Was it 14?
14
Okay.
draws.
All right.
And for what it's worth, 2 more than you did for the Invincible season.
Yeah.
So, draws happen and all that.
Yeah. How do I feel? It's another lost opportunity, Jack.
Yeah, it is.
I remember
it is.
at when the game was done, I was just so mad when the final whistle blew.
Yeah.
I was at the Bluefoot. I was there with Jer. I just walked and I just leaned up against the Banster and I was like, what the fuck was that?
That's one of the ones for me where if I have a bit of my pint left, I down that thing, I put it on the bar, I say goodbye to Rodney, and I leave.
Yeah. I was very I was very close to just like leaving, and I realized,
Yeah.
oh wait, Jared's here. I was like, I should probably like say goodbye to him.
I
and,
agree.
Like, you know,
Gotta say goodbye to Jared.
if I was there by myself, I would have walked out at the 90th. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
give a shit what happens right now.
Fair enough. But like overall, no harm done, really.
No, yeah, and I think that's what I have to think about. And like, I wasn't on socials all day on Saturday or Sunday because I was like, I don't see what people are saying. Like, I don't care about them being like, oh well, we still got a point. I was just mad about it. And then I think this morning I woke up and like, we are very lucky that Villa dropped points, and sometimes luck helps you win the Premier League. Sometimes,
no. I would argue you need luck to win the Premier League. If you don't have luck, you don't win.
Exactly. Sorry. Yes, you need luck to win the Premier League, and we've been lucky.
Yeah,
we've overstayed our luck at this point.
Yeah.
We can't do this again. Cannot.
Are we going to talk about like when you can't score set pieces? I don't know where goals are coming from a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. When we don't score a set piece and we don't open up the play, the goals don't come as often.
Yeah.
I mean, it also depends on the side. It depends on what side we're playing. And I think we were very much focusing on driving to the line, getting a set piece to open up the game, when we might have actually done better off if we played some like bounce passes and cut through the play.
It's funny because I feel like from a Liverpool perspective, Arsenal might be the only team criticized when they don't score from set pieces because of how good people expect you to be from set pieces. Set pieces traditionally aren't a particularly good way to score. You're just really good at it.
Yeah.
So like when you don't get goals from set pieces, people are like, oh, what's going wrong? What's going wrong? It's actually kind of normal. But overall, I think Arsenal, I mean, how many corners do you get? You have 9 corners in that game. I've not done enough due diligence to see what you have in terms of set piece XG, but I can imagine it was pretty high.
You know what? I was looking at FBref to find the set. Oh wait, here. Yes, we were 1.39 on XG from set plays.
Yeah, exactly.
We were 2.10 for overall XG. So we only had 0.7 from open play.
But like, come on, then. That's against Forest. They're like 15.
Jack, I feel this. Yeah, I feel every single thing that you're saying.
It's true. But overall, if we look at it in like the way it should be looked at, you didn't lose the game. There is no one around you that gained points.
Yeah.
So really, the point you get here is a plus.
It's true. Yeah, getting a point, losing the game would have been worse. Obviously, no matter what had happened. But I think that's where I want to see the ferocity in this Arsenal team.
Yeah.
When they came out against Liverpool, and they're like, "Oh wait, all we need is 1 point is to stay ahead of or to match City." They worked for the 1 point. When they come out against Forest now, and they see that City has dropped points and Villa hasn't played yet, why are we not going?
Agree.
For all
the
three?
jugular.
Like, yeah, why? And I'm not a professional footballer, but it just didn't look like they wanted it. It just didn't look like they wanted it.
And I think a lot of it comes down to, like, don't get me wrong, it's not easy to score goals against a team that plays as deep as Forest. It's really not. Like, playing against low blocks is hard.
Yeah.
But there are things that you can do to make that easier for you. And Arsenal do not do those things. Like, you're great off set pieces, which helps. But, like, play the ball forward quickly. Because they're going to get set, and it's going to be difficult. Overall, though, really no harm done. Arsenal still sit top of the league with 50 points. Man City behind them, and Aston Villa behind them on equal points with 43. And then there's that team from Northwest, Liverpool FC, with 36 points in 4th. Man United sniffing down the neck. I can feel Mank breath on the back of my neck right now. So yeah, that's the current state of the Premier League. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over the Champions League previews. Liverpool play Marseille and Arsenal play Inter Milan.
But first,
Cool. So let's move on to the Champions League previews then. So, like I said, Liverpool play Marseille in France, and Arsenal play Inter at San Siro. Am I right?
it's correct.
Tough games for both, honestly. We'll start with Liverpool, though. I think it's easier. Liverpool currently sit ninth in the Champions League. The last result in the Champions League was a pretty big 1-0 win over Inter at the San Siro. Not many teams win there, so if Arsenal can come away with a win, it's a pretty big result. I'd say overall Liverpool's Champions League campaign has been a bit of a mixed bag for the most part. We have some relatively big wins. We have wins over Madrid at Anfield, Inter Milan at the San Siro, and Atletico Madrid at Anfield as well. But then we also have some pretty silly losses. Like we lost to Galatasaray away from home. That was a horrible game to watch. And then we also got battered by PSV at Anfield, which isn't things you want to see. Ben, from my perspective, this competition is the way Liverpool can save their season. And I love it how people... So I've said this to multiple people, right? And people always look at me and say, you're never going to win the Champions League. I saw Jimmy Traore play at left back for Liverpool against some of the best players you have ever seen in your life. Maldini, Nesta, Kaká, Shevchenko. We won the Champions League that year. But I think we finished fifth. We were shit in the league. There is something about this football club that does well in the Champions League.
I think I think Liverpool is a great tournament team. And I think that's one of their strengths.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they do well in the Champions League. That's why they do well in any of our domestic tournaments.
Yeah.
I you know what? If this is the league or the format that they're focusing on this season, they could win it.
So this is my argument now, Ben. I don't think there's an if. They have to. This is the season here. If Arne wants to come out the season with any credit, you win this competition, or like you go far in this competition. I want to see Liverpool really try here. Like, I think we saw at Inter Milan, Liverpool can scum a result away.
Yeah.
Inter, by the way, were in the final last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, from my perspective, over two legs, I fancy Liverpool really against anyone in Europe. I know that sounds nuts, but I still do. Even though we're bad, there's just something about Liverpool in the Champions League. I'd say the best way they could possibly do that, and we'll get way more into Marseille in a minute. You guys know how Liverpool play already. I've spoke about it constantly. Really, the way Liverpool to win, they have to manage space in behind the back line, really because of how Marseille choose to play. I don't want to see any zonal midfield marking here. I want to see man-to-man. Their midfielders, they typically build in a 3-2-5 or a 2-1-6. They typically have a double pivot, so we typically will outnumber them in midfield. I want to see man-to-man. I want to see very aggressive pressing. Force them ultimately to defend wide, so they can't take advantage of how they choose to defend structurally, and be very passive with their centre-backs. They don't have great ball-playing centre-backs, and Liverpool have seen success in the last few weeks of going man-to-man in midfield and essentially giving centre-back space, but being very compact in a mid-block when they are doing that. That's how I think Liverpool win this game. Let's talk about Marseille. This is the interesting one for me. So I was really excited to cover this game because I think Roberto De Zerbi is actually an underrated football manager.
I would agree with that. When De Zerbi was managing Brighton, I kind of really liked watching them play.
Great football.
I really enjoyed watching that style of football, so I'm very excited for this match too.
So the thing that I like about De Zerbi is he doesn't set up to stop goals from conceding. He sets up in the best possible way to score goals against opponents. His mindset is very attacking. Marseille aren't that far behind us, but they are 16th. I think they're 3 points behind us in 16th. So you can see how condensed it is in that middle area. They have 3 wins and 3 losses. They have some decent wins. They've got a win over Ajax. They beat Newcastle as well in a really tight game. They do have some narrow losses to Real Madrid, Sporting, and Atalanta, all by only 1 goal margin. So typically they are they're not getting battered when they lose games, which I think is important to mention.
Okay.
In Ligue 1, they average 59 to 60% possession, and in the Champions League, they only average 52% possession, which shows me that in Ligue 1, standard is a bit lower. They dominate the ball. They're happy to play either way in the Champions League when teams are as good or if not better than them, right? In Liga, they are the second highest scorers in their division. They're only one behind PSG, and I think this coming weekend, this previous weekend, they had a ridiculous result. Let me take a look at it. So this coming weekend in the La Liga, they won actually in the French Cup against Bayeux. I think they're like a second or third division team. They won 9-0. Mason Greenwood scored a hat trick. They are a very dangerous attacking team. So I want to put that out there, and I think it's really important to mention that. I think from our perspective, during this game, we're going to see a bunch of players we recognize. Tell me if you recognize these players, Ben. The first one you definitely do. His name is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
I know who that is. Dead to me.
Pierre Højbjerg, he's there.
I know who that is. He's dead to me.
Mason Greenwood, also dead to me.
Yeah.
Agard, who was with West Ham last year.
Okay, yeah.
Emerson, who was also with West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
Angel Gomez, who is a Man United youth project. Neil Maupay.
Yep. Neil Maupay.
Yeah,
oh.
mate, they have a bunch of Premier League players. And Matt O'Reilly, who was at Brighton last year.
Yeah.
So they have a bunch of...
Neil Maupay also played for Brighton.
He did.
While De Zerbi was there?
He did. So it makes sense.
Makes sense.
Let's talk a bit about how Marseille or De Zerbi likes to set up his team. So we're going to go in possession at first. I'd say when I think of De Zerbi, the biggest takeaway is how they like to create what I call artificial transitions. What are artificial transitions, you ask, Ben?
What are artificial transitions?
Exactly. Essentially, artificial transitions are where centre-backs or defenders in the back line choose to bait a press. And the reason they're doing that is what I want you guys to envisage. I want you to envisage kind of checkers on a football pitch. Think of the back line, someone in the back line having the ball and just holding the ball. So nothing is moving in front of them. The idea behind that is to have the forward line of the defensive team in that position to press the back line of the person that is trying to create the artificial transition. What happens then is naturally, because of how football is played, their shape moves up and space is left in behind. The reason they do that is because they essentially want to create transitions that aren't akin to chaos. The reason they're not akin to chaos is because the way De Zerbi likes to coach his teams offensively is, I think if you remember like players like Pascal Gross, guys typically in the pivot, they're really good at what I call bounce passes. So what they do is they position their pivot players. Typically one will face the goal and one will face the opponent, or like at the very least face the goalkeeper to bring the ball. As soon as the team presses, they get into that structure, and one of those pivot players will receive the ball with their back to goal, essentially. They'll then move on, bounce pass, and then what they've essentially done is they've managed to suck the defensive structure up the pitch with space in behind for fast wingers, and they do have fast wingers. What happens then is you then look to play balls over the top for those wingers. What you're doing is you're making the team come out and press you to then create space in behind. That's what I think of as a De Zerbi tactic. Like, especially if you look at kind of last season and the season before, I remember City were doing a bunch of that. He was, I wouldn't say he's like the creator of this tactic, but he has revolutionized it in terms of possessional-based football.
I think he executes it really well. That's actually a tactic I noticed in the 22-23 season when I was watching them. It was just this. The best way I can think about it, right? It's a reverse trap.
Yeah.
Right? So you're trapping the defensive team to press you in order to then spring that trap and then get the ball past them.
Exactly.
You're creating an overload. You're forcing them to create an overload in the places that you want them to overload.
Yeah.
And then you spring that trap. And so, I think it's a really fun type of football to watch.
Me too.
There's certain footballers who work really well in those. situations, Leandro Trossard
Yeah,
did really well in that, and I wish they would.
Toma.
Matoma does really well in that, right? And so that's the kind of footballer that that does really well in these situations. I think that's going to be kind of interesting to see against the Liverpool.
Our fullbacks, and
Yeah.
I'll get into their keys to victory
All
in a
right.
bit. But the way they build predominantly is via like a 3-2-5 or 3-1-6. Typically, they transition to a 3-1-6 once they've progressed the ball forward. It's not something that they would use standard in build up because, like I said, they like to utilize those bounce passes. But if they once they've built through, they'll transition to like a one in the middle, like a screener essentially. A fullback can tuck in to create the pivot. Don't always do that. Sometimes they choose to use the two central midfielders. I would say their style of football is like typically really fun to watch. I've watched, like I said, I watched about 90 minutes to 2 hours of like film from them. It's not easy to find film from Marseille, by the way, especially from where we are. But overall, like their actual aim is to attack you with those attracting kind of artificial transitions. But they love central overloads too. So they often try to create like situations with a box midfield where they essentially just outnumber people in the middle of the park. What this allows them to do, though, is allows them, like I said, to create that numerical superiority, but it helps them also like with counter press situations. So like think of you lose the ball in midfield. It's better to have 4 guys around the midfield than it is to have 2 or 3 that your standard structure would allow. The wingers, kind of as you would expect in that type of like forward line axis, like the 5 or the 6, the wingers are very high and wide, typically byline wingers, which is where you come back to. I think Trossard is good in those one-on-one situations. You can get past people. Matoma is phenomenal in those one-on-one situations. So like if you think of those archetypal types of players for this style of football, Mason Greenwood is really good at that type of football. I'd say Mason Greenwood is, although questionable human, crazy finisher with both feet, very much like Trossard. I'd say their aim in the final third ultimately is to pin back opponents. So like, and the reason they do that really well is because of the numerical superiority they have on that front line. If you think about it, when they play a 3-1-6 or a 3-2-5, what they're doing essentially is pinning that back line into position and having kind of like a spread options across the whole of that forward line, and it works really well for them, and that's why they score so many goals. This hooks them a bit out of possession. I would say ultimately they're kind of similar to what they were doing, what he was doing and what he implemented with Brighton. They typically value compactness over kind of defensive chaos. They like to sit in a mid block, typically in a kind of like a 4-4-2 type of mid block situation. They'll do that once they lose possession and cannot get it back, so they'll typically fall into a 4-4-2. I'd say a lot of their kind of like defensive identity is how they like to approach counter pressing. They're a pretty aggressive pressing team. Their attacking structure kind of, like I said, keeps players very close together. And what that essentially allows them to do is that goes into kind of that box midfield or having so many players on the forward line to where if they do lose the ball high up the pitch, they have players to be able to push forward and win it back. I would say the trade-off of doing that typically is how they deal with kind of the space that's left in behind. And the way they try to remedy that is switching to a back 3 in possession.
Okay.
If you think about it logically, typically the way teams with a back 4 will build in possession is either a 2 or 3, or most of them nowadays they switch to a 3. And the reason they switch to a 3 is because you can get DMs that drop in between to create like that kind of fake centre back type of role. They do that a lot, and they are quite good at playing that way. They also have really good profiles to screen their midfield. Højbjerg likes to get the ball back. Thomas Vermeeren is really good at getting the ball back. So their aim essentially is to kind of avoid chaos, be quite compact, press high. But if they can't press high, they're pretty good at falling into a low block. That kind of brings me on to talk about their keys to victory. They will have a set piece superiority against Liverpool. Liverpool are absolutely shocking at attacking set pieces and defending set pieces, as we've seen this season. But as you touched on just now, I think the best way home for them in this game is to exploit Liverpool's fullback depth. Liverpool's fullbacks play typically quite high up.
Mhm.
We always have done. And in fact, in that last game, we saw Kirkes the highest I've seen him.
Yeah.
Very high, very wide. Liverpool might be a bit more risk averse in this game, so you might not see those fullbacks press really high. In fact, because of that, I would start Andy Robertson. I think Andy Robertson is really good for this type of game. Andy Robertson is a better ball progressor than Kirkes, and I think it would help us from that kind of deeper position. Another thing they need to do is, I touched on it just now versus Burnley, play through our shape quickly, transition fast, but be compact. Like, don't give our players a bunch of time with the ball. Ultimately, the way we want to play is to frustrate the opponent, make them come onto us, helps us create some space in behind, or we just don't mind at this point just controlling possession for possession's sake. And I think for them, transition quickly, punish us in that way. I have a question for you here.
Okay.
What is your prediction for this game? So remember, it's in France. They're not, at least from my perspective, I don't think we're going to win this game. I don't.
Okay.
I think they are quite good at home. But I also think they have a style that kind of will be quite difficult for us. I'm looking at a 2-2 draw. What do you think?
I'll say this: I haven't researched Marseille or watched as much Marseille football in as much as you have in the last few weeks. It's hard for me to say that a side like Marseille is going to beat a side like Liverpool.
I don't think we'll lose for what it's worth.
Yeah, I would like there to be goals, but I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be 2-0 to Liverpool away.
I'll take it.
And I mainly go into this because I think Liverpool know how to play these big tournaments, and I think that though De Zerbi has a great plan and he's gonna play the game that he wants to play, I think that there is going to be some brilliance that happens from the Liverpool players because of what has happened in the last couple of weeks in the league.
Fair.
I think that they are going to be like, yeah, this is not good enough.
Okay.
And I think that's what's going to, the team's going to win this.
I mean, let's go with what Ben said. Ignore what I just said. I actually have a fun fact or memory about this game.
Okay.
So there was a game in 2004. I think this was actually in the UEFA Cup. We played them in this game.
Okay.
Liverpool ended up losing 2-1. Throughout the game, Marseille had a specific player who was so difficult to deal with. And I'm going to ask you who it is. I'll give you one hint.
Okay.
Actually, I'll give you 2 hints.
Wait, give me one hint first. If I can't get on the first hint, then give me the second hint.
He's from the Ivory Coast.
Didier Drogba.
Yes. On that day, it was, honestly...
It's really funny because before this, Jack said he's going to ask me a question, and I will know who it was.
Yeah.
And he told me it's going to be a player from 2004 who played for Marseille, and I couldn't figure it out. And I asked him, like, well, you give me a hint? He's like, I don't know, I'll just ask you the question. And he gave me the hint. As soon as he said Ivory Coast 2004, it's Didier.
Yeah, he dominated us. We could not get near him the whole of that day. Couldn't get him off the ball. Couldn't beat him in the air. And the season after, he signs for Chelsea.
Yeah.
So that's a fun fact that I have about Marseille. Like I said, Ben predicted the way better result, at least from my perspective. I do think we're going to draw this game. But that being said, let's move on to Inter versus Arsenal, which I think is a bigger game.
Yeah.
Because Arsenal sit top of the Champions League, Ben.
Yeah. This is a game that we played last year, and it's this Champions League contrast that I've seen. Inter are built for nights like this, in the same way Liverpool are.
Yeah.
They are serial winners of this competition. They've been recent finalists. As you mentioned, they were finalists last year. They are a team who understands how to play knockout-style football.
Yeah.
And then Arsenal, on the other side, have never won this tournament. They are unbeaten in Europe right now.
You are 6 out of 6.
We are 6 out of 6, and we beat Bayern Munich, which is kind of exciting.
For what it's worth as well, guys, Arsenal have conceded 1 goal in the Champions League.
Yeah.
That's that's mad.
Yeah. I'm excited for what they're going to do away from home. Another thing is this is their 4th consecutive game away from home in the last 2 weeks.
That's an interesting point.
Which
travel.
Yeah, which is the first time it's ever happened for a top tier team.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like I'm not going to be the person who's like, oh, travel is hard. No, you're traveling in luxury. You're fine. You do this as your job. You learn how to do this, right?
You'll figure it out.
But another fun thing, Inter and Arsenal have faced off 3 times. Inter is 2-1, and they had the only win against Arsenal during the group stages last season. In
How
the
did
Champions
that end?
League.
Do you remember?
It was a 1-0.
Okay.
Off a penalty.
Yeah.
It was a 1-0 off a penalty in in injury time of the first half.
Okay.
And after that, they locked it up.
Yeah, that's so strong defensively.
Yeah. So current situation for Inter, they have a new manager, Shivu, replaced Inzaghi, who left immediately after the Champions League final last season, I believe.
Yeah, he went to Saudi, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, go get your money.
Yeah.
Domestically, they are top 6, clear of AC Milan. They are undefeated in 8 matches. That was at the time that I wrote these notes. I'm sorry if that's untrue at this point.
Is their last loss against us?
Their last loss was against... That only in the domestically they've been undefeated in 6, but not 6 in all.
But like that is overall there. Yeah. Actually, they lost to Bologna in the Supercoppa Italiana. On it looks like on pens. But
okay.
They've not lost really since that. So they dominate almost everyone. Yeah.
I mean, they're a strong side.
Yeah.
They are 6th in the standings right now in the Champions League. They've had mixed results as well.
Yeah.
So they have strong wins in the group stages. Early on in the group stages, that 4-0 victory against SG, 3-0 home against Slavia Prague, and a pretty good away win at Ajax earlier in the campaign. And now they have come off of back-to-back losses at Lecce and Liverpool.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping we're going to make it a three-peat for them. They are title contenders domestically, and they're a huge European team. You don't talk about European football without mentioning Inter.
One of the top 10, easy. Top 6, maybe.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah. David Beckham named his team after them. So
yeah, he kind of did. So Ben, talk to me about a bit how they kind of set up in possession and what they're looking to do.
They are definitely a vertical high tempo team. Typically 3-4-2-1, 3-4-3. I wouldn't say they overload that midfield, but they really focus on overall like a build-up that starts in the back.
Yes.
Circulating possession.
Slow.
Yes. Slow build-up.
Yes.
Reminds me of other teams. And then they really, once they get into space, like putting that ball back into space for the wings. So really attacking blocks. 2 advanced midfielders, often including Martinez as a supporting forward. And they're really like kind of releasing the runners behind. You know what? I just thought of this. You know who'd be a great kind of like footballer for this team?
Oh.
Gyökeres.
Oh, definitely, yeah. he could basically, so like, they play a front 2, don't they? Typically of Martinez and Thuram. Yeah. He's quite similar footballer to Thuram.
Exactly. I think what actually was really surprising when I was digging into the stats was they have an average 84.5% pass accuracy with 487 passes in all comps on average, which is high.
Yeah.
Now, I watch a pass-heavy team. Arsenal averaged 82.6 pass accuracy with nearly 50 fewer passes per match on average.
Wow.
And Liverpool is also very accurate, 84.3 with an average of 500 passes.
I did say sterile domination, right?
You did.
But it's just sterile. There's no domination.
And also with their progressive play, they average 190 touches in the attacking third.
Fucking
That's
hell.
25%, about 25% of all their touches in the game.
I think it's important though to like attribute like they play teams without badges.
They play in Italy.
Yeah. It's important to mention, like, especially because of how because of how risk averse they are in build up, they can typically build the ball quite easily. But when they get the ball forward, they play really quickly.
Yeah.
Which makes pretty much all of their passes and possession in their own half. It's very funny to me.
Yeah, I think and when they are in the final third, they are very dynamic.
Yeah.
But we talked about XG, and we talked about XG differential earlier this year. They're outperforming their XG differential is negative 2.8.
Negative.
Sorry, positive 2.8.
Okay.
Positive 2.8, which means that they are getting more goals than producing XG.
I mean, Martinez is a fucking killer.
Yeah. It's really
He is.
up to Luarto. Like he is a fantastic striker.
Yeah.
I remember all the people who were looking to sign him a couple years ago before he aged.
I think he's underrated.
Yeah, I think he's a great footballer. He reminds me almost of like an Alexis Sanchez.
I like the comparison. I think so. Like, I think Sanchez is more athletic than he is.
Yeah.
But I think as a finisher, Lautaro is a bit better than Sanchez.
Okay.
Not saying Sanchez is a bad finisher, because he's not. But I think Lautaro is, when I think of a guy like a bit of space in the box as a striker, he actually reminds me, and it's not just the countryman comparison, he reminds me a bit of Aguero.
Okay.
Can finish quite well with both feet.
Yeah.
A multitude of finishes. Like, he can finesse the ball really well. He can rifle the ball really well. Like I said, underrated. He's going to be tough to deal with.
Yeah. I am nervous about him and not closing him down quickly enough.
Yeah.
If we give him too much space, he's going to take a shot.
You know what the fun matchup for me is in this game? How Gabriel deals with someone like Thuram. Thuram is very physical.
Yeah. That'd
And
be fun.
basically, because they play with a front two, they double up on the centre backs. So like a lot of the time, if they receive the ball in the attacking third, the centre backs are 1-on-1.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to watch.
I'm excited. Yeah. I think this can be really good. Let's talk about them out of possession. They have a compact mid block, really working on congestion central channels and forcing that play wide. So I hope Arsenal learn something against Forest this week. They have a very calculated press.
But instead of like Mario, you've got fucking Bastoni.
Yeah, exactly. We better run through Bastoni. Absolutely. Jesus. I think they have a lot of intensity and forward pressure, but that means that they're vulnerable.
Yes.
So, like, we need to take advantage of that. They will funnel the ball into areas where they can win the second ball. So they will get that into kind of those half spaces on, I guess, zone, 9, 11, around there, where they can really, like, in the midfield, where they can, like, get that possession, especially when they're playing that mid block, and then release. Or pass it back, play some slow ball, and then release.
You know what? I think the back five in possession for them, out of possession, sorry, really helps them in this game.
Yeah.
Because it lets them spread players throughout the back line. If you think of like what I think of Arsenal's like most dangerous combinations in possession, it's Saka and Odegaard. Because of how compact they can be and the fact that they play a back five, I think that makes it way harder to deal with.
I think the other thing about this game is, we've kind of like beat these European teams really well because they brought the game to us. But the way that Inter set up, they almost set up like a slower version of like a Premier League low block team.
They do, yeah.
And so we need to figure out how to get past
with way better footballers as well. It's important to remember. I think, actually, the thing I've noticed throughout the whole of this Champions League campaign for Arsenal is, and you saw it with Bayern, these teams are not used to how you guys deal with set pieces. Like, the Premier League is really unique in that aspect, and you just happen to be one of the guys that are the best at it. And I remember Bayern like really struggling with the way you dealt with set pieces, like delivering set pieces right under the bar.
Yeah.
They couldn't handle it. And like, I would say Inter are in a bit of a better position in that regard because they play 3 centre-backs. But I'm really curious to see how they end up dealing with it.
Yeah. I think the way they deal with it and really how they win this is just a structured buildup.
Yeah.
Overall, take advantage of Arsenal's defensive transitions and move the ball quickly through the midfield.
Yeah.
Arsenal will, if they're pressing really high and they can't get back, they can break that midfield with pace. I really like the call out Thuram's one-on-one with Gabriel. I'm excited to see what that looks like overall.
Dude.
I think
that's gonna be such a physical battle.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think the best way they're also, if they can neutralize Saka Odegaard partnership on the right side, if they can use their wing backs to kind of put up those overloads, I think they'll be okay. And I think what they need to do is they need to finish their chances.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, Arsenal have conceded 1 goal.
Yeah.
If they are able to get that goal and then they can sit back and hold that lead, I think it's going to be really hard for Arsenal to get through.
Yeah, I agree. I think a really big miss from, I mean, there's 2 big misses from their perspective in this game. Çalhanoğlu is injured. Çalhanoğlu is like
He's the one who scored the PK.
Oh, really?
Last season.
Yeah, he is their like dead ball guy. So, his like what I think of Çalhanoğlu's, I mean, he used to be an attacking midfielder.
Okay.
That has moved back with age. His ability to play the ball in between, like through the lines, is really, really good. They're going to miss him. I don't know who they're playing.
You feel like he's like a deep lying playmaker?
Yeah, bit of a Regista, if you will.
Oh, okay, yeah. Huh, interesting.
And then Dumfries is also out, which is a huge miss for them.
Yeah, he has so much pace.
So like missing those 2 players, like that's 2 pivotal parts of the way they ideally want to play. So I'm curious to see how they deal with that on the flip side.
I'm not going to go. I don't want to go too deep into Arsenal. I just want to talk about like keys to victory for Arsenal. We talk about Arsenal a lot. I think the big thing that they need to do to win this, especially if there is a quote unquote weekend Inter Milan. I keep saying Inter Miami whenever I say Inter Milan. Thanks, David.
They shouldn't need to play Messi.
I think Arsenal needs to be able to exploit those transitions, control that tempo. Like, I want a fast tempo game. Like, make them fight for the ball, make them chase you. Defensive compactness in that midfield to really lock down the runners who are coming through, as well as not giving Lautaro any space to take a shot. And clinical finishing. Like, Arsenal didn't win against Forest because they didn't have clinical finishing. Last year when they played against Inter, they had 20 shots, 4 were on target, 3 big chances, 1.8 XG, 0 goals. So, I don't know, get the ball in the back of the net to win the game. It's probably how you win the game. Is the key to win the game.
It always helps, right?
Yeah. I have a couple of quick little fun facts about Arsenal. Arsenal have scored 40% of their Champions League goals before halftime.
Interesting.
I mean, it's not super fun. I mean, 60% after halftime.
Yeah.
But I think like what that means is if Arsenal can focus on scoring early, they can actually probably absorb some of that offensive pressure from Inter. Inter have only conceded 5 equalizing goals this year.
5.
They have a 75% defend leading rate. So if Inter get ahead,
you're fucked.
We're fucked.
Yeah.
So they've only scored 2 equalizing goals after giving up a lead.
Shit. So that like once the
first goal wins.
So do you know what that makes me think of? So they're not particularly good at dealing with teams that defend the lead. But they're really good at defending the lead.
Yeah.
First goal. Golden goal.
And I will say that the Inter fun fact was from their league stats, not UCL. But I mean, it's going to be very similar. So
like what I saw when Liverpool played them, I thought they were really wasteful in attack that day.
Okay.
They had like opportunities to play through us, and like the final ball or the decisive thing that they needed to do to create chances wasn't quite there. I don't know how much that actually means anything, but I don't think they have like the best attacking players. If you think like, let's think about this. They've got Lautaro, they have Thuram.
Yeah.
They're missing Dumfries and they're missing Çalhanoğlu. They have Nicolo Barella, who I think is excellent. But they don't have a bunch of attacking output. And I think in games like this, it makes it tough for them. What's your prediction for this?
I am going to predict I want it to be fun. I'm going to predict a 2-1. Sorry, a 1-2 Arsenal.
So Arsenal win 2-1 away from home.
Yeah.
I'm going to predict 0-0.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a fucking stink fest.
Man, I don't want another sneaky football game.
I think it's going to be a stink fest.
Why? I don't want another sneaky Arsenal football game.
It's two teams that are so risk averse. I think this is going to be a stink fest.
Okay.
Or Arsenal wins off a set piece. Marino, 79th minute. Type of thing.
Oh,
that's what I think is going to happen. The thing I love about this as well, actually, is we play on Wednesday and this game is on Tuesday. So this is going to be the game I'm watching on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I will be watching this on Tuesday and then most likely watching Liverpool on Wednesday. So
perfect. That's kind of everything from us today, guys. Really looking forward to kind of talking about the games that we've just previewed. As always, rate the podcast. Give us any feedback that you actually have. That's always very helpful. Apart from that, peace out. Good to see you guys.
Cheers, y'all.
See ya.